Hello there everybody, and welcome back to another episode of An Ecologist Plays Grounded, the game where we are trying to survive in a miniature and hostile world. Now, as you can see, we have built a berry chair, that was done off screen, and you can just lounge away your days in the backyard if you really wanted to. And the berry leather here is of course made out of the skin, out of the blueberries. Well, I assume it's blueberries. Very much resembles the fruit of blueberries that you just kind of then hang up on the jerky racks, or the drying racks, and then that gives you your berry leather as you have over here. So quite a thick-skinned berry, whatever it is, and my suspicion is that yes, it is indeed blueberry, but I may be wrong. Vaccinium species, if I'm not mistaken. Now, I have done some things off screen, and I'll show you what I've done by heading to our little blue house, our little house by the lake in a moment. So the house by the pond, and I will meet up with you there. Now, as we're heading towards our lake house, you will see that I have got these little water collectors as per the suggestion of Meow, which has suggested that we put down some water collectors underneath these juice boxes, and then when you walk up to them, you can see that, yes, there's some juice in there as it drips from the top there. And you can just come by and drink it. A little slurp on the go, if I want to call it that. So quite useful to build these at the juice boxes. I have built 3. I have actually built 4, but one of them was destroyed. And I had to rebuild it because the orb weaver spiders decided that I had killed enough of them. And it is time to do a raid against my house. And they just destroyed the water collector and ran away. So, yeah. But I've built it again, and so now we can at least get juice easily as well. So as we're getting closer, you can see that we have a little log cabin by the lake. And this was all done, of course, off screen. So just in case you thought you missed an entire episode, this wasn't built on screen. But we have got everything sorted out. All our storage here. We've got some spinning wheels over here. We've got a little campfire again. Our dummy containing our gill tube and our fin flops. And of course some more racks that we can put up stuff as well. And then heading outside, we of course have another berry chair to just lounge our days away in and enjoy the magnificent view over the pond over here. And a little jetty going down to the bottom over here. We can easily jump in and we can easily swim up and jump out as well, in case we need to run away from Trudy, the koi fish, who is in the water here somewhere. Now this brings us to today's quest, which is of course to go in and do the pond lab. Now we need a few things in order to do that. We need a gill tube just to get started, and we need fin flops also just to get started. And now that we have that, we can stay underwater a little bit longer. We also have slime lanterns in our inventory here, because this is going to allow us to actually see what is happening underwater, especially in the deeper areas. So what we're looking for is close to this little gazebo over here. If we dive down, you can see we've got 80 seconds of air there, where we normally only had 40. If we go down here, where we can see the bubbles coming up, there's a tear in the pipe over here. This is going to be our oxygen supply. And look, there's a sunken T-Rex. This is a landmark you are looking for. So right under here, easiest is just to go down close to the gazebo, have a look at where the bubbles are rising up from the bottom, follow the pipe, and you'll find this entrance over here. Now that we've grabbed another little bubble of air over here, we dive down. What you are going to need is also a shovel to get in here, because you are going to be digging up things like the koi scale over here. It takes 2 strikes to actually get the koi scale. And you'll also need to dig up these sunken bones. And we are going to need 5 of them for where we are, what we are doing. And there's a sunken chest. We'll get to the sunken chest in a moment. Now, the sunken bone we'll be able to use to make a air bubble, or a bubble helmet, which will help us stay underwater even longer. Now, in this T-Rex's mouth, there is something that is also very useful. Stuck in between the teeth there, a rotten stinger spear. So this stinger spear is quite strong. However, the rotten version will degrade more rapidly than the unrotten version. There's Trudy. We're just going to stay under here until Trudy goes away. Now, koi, like Trudy over there, okay, there she goes, belong to the Cyprinus genus, which is the same as carp. Oh dear, we are going to possibly be eaten by Trudy. Maybe, maybe not. Trying to get to the surface here, not working, so let's head for our little jetty. This is exactly why I built the jetty. But the koi used to be in the same genus. Hello, Trudy. The koi used to be in the same genus as the common European carp, which is Cyprinus carpio, but it has been shifted over to a different species now, Cyprinus rubrofuscus, I believe it is now. Rubro referring to, or rubra referring to red, and then fuscus meaning dark, or darker colored. So rubrofuscus meaning dark red, the dark red carp, basically. And so taxonomists are constantly changing the names of things as they find genetic evidence that it's not actually a subspecies. It used to be Cyprinus carpio hematoptera, which means blood wing. So the blood wing carp, which is that's like a dragon's name right there. But it is now just a different species. Now I'm going to just carry on getting some sunken bone, getting everything ready to make the bubble hat. And when I do, I'll be with you back in a moment. Alright, so there we go. We need 4 eelgrass strands, 5 sunken bones, and 4 silk rope in order to make this happen. And it is definitely worth it. Because if we now go and equip this, although we may look like a super nerd going into battle, we are very well equipped for the life underwater. And so here it is. Now, the idea here is that this little bubble, this would be air if you are underwater. On land it shows as water that is there. But this here would be your breathing supply, your oxygen supply. And the idea is that there's a hydrophobicity here. So again, repelling water, trapping air in little pockets like this for you to then go and breathe. Alright, and now with everything ready and equipped, let's head into the pond lab area. Now we already have a threat attacking us, and my money is on the spiders. No, or maybe it's a water flea. Okay, there is a spider here somewhere. There we go. Hello, little spooder. So again, this being the diving bell spider, which doesn't actually occur in America. This is a European species. I'm constantly missing the blocks here, but oh well. There we go. Haha. Now the nice thing about the spear is that it has got a very long reach, longer than the pebblet dagger. But what you do is you go, if you want to go to the pond lab, you need to get the bubble helmet, and then you get into this little slipstream over here, get into this one, and then you are into the pond lab area. Now later on we are going to open up this spot over there. We don't have access to that yet. We are first going to head for that opening over there. You see the big glowing raw signs? Yeah, that is where we are heading for now. We're just going to come in here. Ignore all the loot that is in here for now. For now, you just want to get to oxygen. So you scan your hands, and this is again why you need the bubble helmet. You're possibly going to run out of time if you are doing this without the bubble helmet. And then you just swim into this area. And now you are more or less in the pond lab. And now you are ready to explore a bit. Now what you'll find here is obviously another file. And that file there says that this facility is to test or well, basically to do a whole thing on certain mycelial networks, so fungi that they are using to grow, well, mussel sprouts, which we'll get to in a moment. Now we've got a switch here, but the breakers aren't working, and this is the main objective now. So there is another little recording here.
Each member of the Tully family, excepting yours truly, looks at Brussels sprouts, the great cabbage of Belgium, with utter disdain. Within its densely packed leaves, a high-powered nutrient boost in a miniature form factor. And yet mealtime after mealtime, it is recklessly cast aside. Well, more for me. The body knows when it's lacking something. Funny that it doesn't tell the mind why, though. But I have taken the hint, and I'll do those brilliant horticulturalists of Belgium one better. You see, these little morsels are a prime candidate for experimentation in my new submersible multifunction lab. A closed-loop system complete with retractable solar dome. I mean, what could possibly go wrong?
Dr. Tully, it is almost time for your appointment.
Already? The joys of getting older. Trudy pushed me to go see a doctor after she remarked that I looked like a plate of wet ham. Very well. Mustn't be late and keep Dr. Applebaum waiting.
Okay, so I have switched the one breaker, and as I was whacking that soggy root there, I realized that I need a tier 2 dagger. I need to kill more wolf spiders in order to actually get the spider dagger, the spider fang dagger, to make that. But yeah, so Dr. Tully was talking about the Brussels sprouts, which he likes, but the rest of the family does not. And so I'm quite a big fan of Brussels sprouts. Maybe not the consequences of the Brussels sprouts, of eating too many, but I quite enjoy Brussels sprouts. Okay, so let's just get some more air again here, and then we'll head down again. And so we switched the one breaker there, and there is a milk molar in there, and there is also a skeleton that we can get to later when we have our Spiderfang dagger. We'll go through down there again. We can get it now, but you know what? I'm not going to do that now. But we are just going to get the second breaker over here. And then there is a third breaker to this side. Just going into this environment over here. There are some diving bell spiders here, which is not that bad because it does mean that we can get some more oxygen. And these little guys, as I've mentioned before, they've got hydrophobic hairs all along their backs, the abdomens, which will then trap air, allowing them to breathe underwater. And they will spend most of their lives actually submerged underwater, and they will do everything under there. Now they're called the diving bell spider, not because their body resembles a diving bell. Let me just get this breaker here somewhere. I think it's under here. Yes, here it is. Not because their body resembles a diving bell. Now a diving bell are those old-timey things still used today that I know I think it was in Scooby-Doo it was that they went off. I remember that as a kid. They dove down under the ocean in this big metallic construction that trapped air, and they were just kind of chilling with their feet dangling in the water. But that's a diving bell. It's a structure that different ways to do it, but I think that was an open diving bell. But now we can go in here. Now that the breakers have been fixed, we can come in here. But diving bell is that weird structure. I'll see whether I can get a little photo up there in the corner there. Now, the body of the diving bell spider does not resemble that, but they do construct silken webs underwater that do resemble that structure. And those webs will then trap air in there, so trap oxygen. And here we have a little archer. We're just going to bash him with a hammer. Always bring a hammer along as well to bash these guys. And here we have a place to sleep and to make it our respawn point. And a workbench if we wanted to craft anything. Now, this workbench can be very useful because just along this path, this is where we were earlier. And of course, there is the storeroom down that little corridor, that flooded corridor over there. Now we're just going to muck around a bit in here. So there was a very interesting note on there. Basically, Dr. Wendell Tully was trying to make a plant-human fungus hybrid, it seems. In essence, what he's doing is he's taken the artery of his jarred appendix, so his appendix that had been taken out, and he had grafted that using agar, which is from algae. He's grafted Brussels sprouts, auxiliary buds, those actual Brussels sprouts that we eat. He's grafted that onto a mycelial network, onto fungi. And there is what are called mussel sprouts. So this is now the product of his experimentation with Brussels sprouts merged or fused with, well, a fungal network to beef them up a little bit. And we are going to be using mussel sprouts as we go along. Now going into this tunnel, We go along this little bit over here and pop up under here. I'm not sure whether we are going to need a spider fang dagger for where we are going and what we are doing, but we'll see in a moment. We are, however, under attack by some more spiders. Now, interesting with the diving bell spiders, the females will build a much bigger diving bell, those little web structures underwater, than the males will do. And the females will spend a lot of time in those diving bells. And when mating is to happen, males apparently will build their diving bells close to the females' ones, and then make a little tunnel down to where her diving bell is, which is amazing. Weird. Okay, we've made it through, and we need a password, and we of course have the password because it's Dr. Wendell Tully. He used the same password he used in the hedge lab.
Dr. Applebaum has pronounced me in perfect health. For a man 20 years my senior.
Shame.
I must face the facts. The gray hairs, the wrinkles, they are not figments of the imagination. I can draw only one reasonable conclusion. It is the elusive fractional errors of the shrinking process which are the cause. Trudy has asked that I discontinue my experiments, but what choice do I have? If I quit now, I will have nothing. What will I be other than a failed inventor and scientist with no discoveries to his name, unable even to teach the basics of physics to a gaggle of hormonal teenagers? No. If this means that I must sacrifice 20 years of my life, then so be it.
Okay, now we will have opened something up. And we are just going to go back to where we were. And there we go. I guess this is where we open something up. Alright, so it seems the password opened up this door over here in that little hatch room. And going up here, we obviously can get some bandages. And we've got some more tasties over here. And this then is the main pond lab, it seems, the dome. And just going up the stairs here, we should then be able to access this little panel over here. And this will open up the hydrodome.
This time you've gone too far, Wendell Tully. You've done the unthinkable, trespassed the unforgivable. You missed Thanksgiving dinner. Who can blame Trudy? I know that I pushed things to the breaking point and that she has grit her teeth and borne it. She told me that she could not bear to watch me destroy my life, let alone hers, the children's, in single-minded pursuit of this technology. Never in all the years of knowing her has she given me such a cold, immovable ultimatum. My science or my family. But if only she could see. I am doing this for them. I understand it has been hard. It has been harder on no one more than myself. If only I had more time. If I could just prove to them the wonders that are so close now, they would understand, wouldn't they? And if they did not, perhaps they never understood me at all.
And on the desk here, on the table, there is a marvelous little poem. And it basically deals with how Trudy the fish got her name. Where Trudy, the Dr. Wendell Tully's wife, basically told him that you have to choose between the science and your family. And then she decided that since he didn't want to choose the family, she would throw her ring into the pond. And the fish then swallowed the ring, and as a result was choking on it. And Dr. Wendell Tully then tried to rescue the fish, but in the process of doing so, he blinded the fish in one of the eyes. So one of the eyes, I never realized one of the eyes is actually blinded. So interesting. But here we are. So this is where we were. Awesome little spot, little aqua dome over there. we're just going to go up to the surface here, back to our house. And that was basically the pond lab. Alright, we have handed in the super chip at Burgle, and he is fixing himself there. And he has told us that we need to find ingredients for the embiggening cell. Embiggening cell basically just preventing us from exploding when we enlarge ourselves. So let's just have a look what we now have access to. I do like building bases, so I am going to just buy the curved bases here. We could buy the buoyant foundation as well, which will allow us to actually build on top of the water. Well, we're not going to be doing that. But on that note, thank you all for joining me again on this little adventure of ours. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you learned something as well. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a like below. Let me know what you want me to do next. Now, I know there is something down there that we can also go and get, but I couldn't find the entrance to that, and I'll have to go and look at where it could possibly be the place I want to go to. But for now, I hope you have a wonderful day and a wonderful week further. I will see you guys on Friday for the next episode of An Ecologist Plays. Until then, stay safe. I will see you all soon.